Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Love Goals Aftershow with Stevon.
Yes.
And Kiaundra. Man, we just got done watching Ep2. Mm-hmm. The Problems Are the Problems, and man, it was juicy. It was mad juicy. It was.
A lot of stuff happened in that episode.
A lot of stuff went down that we're going to talk about today. So before we jump into it, go ahead and hit them with the rundown. You know you got to hit them with the credentials.
Oh, man.
Because last time you forgot something crucial, and I'm going to remind you. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm still Stevon Lewis. That hasn't changed. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I practice in Torrance, California, the South Bay. I specialize in working with individuals struggling with imposter syndrome, and I do some couples work.
Yeah, but you was also on Fox Soul. I mean,
he
be doing dope stuff, but he just don't. You know how people don't want to just like.
You got to check out my IG to see all the stuff I'm really doing, man.
People don't want to run their
Ep2. Yeah, for sure.
He was on Fox Soul. Go check it out. It was dope as heck.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, my name is Kiaundra Jackson. I am also a licensed marriage and family therapist right here in Los Angeles, California. I am known as America's #1 relationship therapist. I am a TV personality. I am an award-winning speaker. I'm a best-selling author. I've been on all the networks, BET, Fox, CBS, CW, all the things, Oprah's Magazine. But what I'm most proud about recently is being on this show, Love Goals. Love Goals, hashtag Love Goals, man. So let's get into the show. So if you don't know what the show is, it's again 5 celebrity couples all up in one house, bringing their own individual couples issues with a whole bunch of different shenanigans happening. And they're under one roof for a number of weeks to kind of work through their stuff. So they're going through individual couple sessions and group sessions. So today we got the first chance actually, to see them in group therapy for the first time.
Yep.
So if y'all haven't seen this action before, this is brand spanking new. And I was excited because we got a chance to see all of the couple's story, because we know it got hijacked a little bit, last time by a certain couple. But this time we got a chance to kind of dive in there a little bit. So what did we see in that? And kind of just the first episode in general.
In the first episode, we kind of saw like the couples kind of coming to the support or aid of Althea and Benzino.
Yep.
And we just saw like, kind of setting the foundation, I think, for what therapy was going to look like and what this process or experience was going to be like. And I think Spirit did a really good job of kind of setting the table for that, setting the expectations for the couples. And, the show kind of in that first episode showed kind of what they're gonna be dealing with, and hopefully be able to kind of track the progress that happens over time.
Yep, awesome. So in this joint,
yes,
I think one of the first things that I really realized before they went into group therapy was like a little powwow session. Right. That that Althea, Spin, and Teresa had at the kitchen table. Right. And I think that was a kind of a powerful moment, because Althea got tearful. And we also seen that she kind of had like a little breakthrough.
She did. She absolutely did, which is an important point, because it says that breakthroughs can happen inside and outside of session. And so
say that again. That's tweetable.
Breakthroughs can happen inside and outside of session.
Yeah.
That your time in therapy or in session with your therapist, so you're processing, your brain will continue to work on some of that stuff. And so what we saw was kind of through that powwow, right, that Althea kind of was able to make some connections about things from her childhood and her relationship with men, and it kind of helped her see how she responds in her current relationship and why that is.
Yeah. And I noticed throughout like the whole episode, she did a lot of deep breathing, know?
Right, yes.
And people might think that that's weird, but that's actually a positive coping skill, as we like to call it in, the psychology and the therapy world. Like when you feel your body becoming more heightened and aroused or emotional or whatever, anger, it's okay to take those deep breaths and inhale and exhale. And I think she did a great job throughout this, trying to manage her anger or her emotions across the board. So we see them having a moment. She has this like little epiphany moment, which I think is dope, because she can also take that into her individual or couple session with Spirit as, the sessions and the episodes continue. But what I also love kind of after her epiphany moment, because she even touched her chest like, whoo.
Yep.
Now I was like, I feel you, sis.
It gained insight. Gained insight is real.
Yes. I seen them kind of like come together and kind of do like their little pack, their little powwow. And I thought that was dope, because it shows how people should support one another, and how women should support other women, you know, especially if you see your sister going through something that may not feel good or that may not be a good scenario. Instead of you taking jabs or making fun of them or talking crap behind their back, like, you should come to their rescue and say, hey, I got your back, I'm in this with you, and let's do this dang thing. And I think that was dope.
Yeah, that she can feel supported. And I thought that was really good to see that in day 2 or you know, episode 2, that quickly they're coming to the aid and saying, hey, look, we're a family now. We're here to help each other be the best that we can and get out of this what we need to.
They look like they just woke up too. So you already know.
It
was going down early in the morning. Early in the morning. You was probably there because you was on that good old
I was there on the morning time. Yeah, for sure.
That's dope. That's awesome. So as we transition and seeing them in group, I think it started to kind of see, like, group is so interesting. Group therapy is interesting. And I think this is the world getting a glimpse into, like, how it's done for real. Because you got to manage people individually, but then you got to manage the couples. And sometimes what we seen was like a switch in physical proximity to people, and people moved around, and Spirit got up, as you can see, and went to Benzino and sat next to him, and Althea moved. It was a whole scenario. It's active. Literally, that's the word, active, right? And so what I loved about that moment was spinning cute. Right. Like, they seemed all polished and just so, like, cool with it, right? Like, even in the house, they was just like, we cool. You know, we got our issues, but we not on a 10 with it, right? It was like that seasoned couple, you know, type of thing. I hope that's not disrespectful, because...
No, they got experience. Experience. Yeah,
that's the word. Seasoned and experienced.
Yes, that's a good thing.
But I think she said something that just shows so much maturity. Right? She said something along the lines of, like, you know, even if he hurts me, I don't want to hurt him back.
That's big.
I was like, whoo, sis, it takes a mature one to do that.
Right, because you can say, I want, you know, treat people how you want to be treated. But to actually put that into practice and purposefully do that is really tough to do. Yeah. You know, it takes work, and you have to be mindful of that kind of at all times. And I think Spin speaking that is super important for her, saying, hey, letting Q know that I'm here for you, and even if, you know, you aren't at your best day, I'm still going to try to be on mine. Yeah,
I love that, because relationships are a give and take. When I'm on my best day, you may not be on your best day, and then that might alternate, right? And so... And there may be days where we both on the 10 and we both not having a good day. Somebody's going to have to compensate for the difference, you know? And I think that that's a mature way of doing it. But what I heard or seen in a lot of the group members was that they wasn't really listening.
You don't think so?
I feel like they were... There's a difference between hearing and listening, right? And I think they were hearing what Spirit was saying, but I think... they don't have the skill of active listening.
Right. That, like, sometimes, and I think I do this with couples, is to try to let them know that we often listen, right, to respond, and not listen to understand.
That's good.
And I think that that's the difference of what, you know, kind of needs to happen, right, is that it's a real trigger when I'm not feeling heard in my relationship, right, because I'm saying, well, you aren't seeing me. And so you're responding to me in a way that isn't really appropriate or accurate, based on kind of what you're telling yourself in that moment. Yeah. And so kind of giving couples tools or an ability to be able to find ways to share with their partner that, hey, I do understand you. I have heard you in a way that I understand you. And communicate that back is super important. And I try to use reflective kind of listening to be able to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's dope. So reflective listening. If you ain't never heard of that term, Google it. Talk to your own therapist about it, because I hope this whole show is making y'all go get y'all. Yeah. Black therapists do exist. Therapy is dope. Make sure you're getting yourself together. But,
you know what I saw that was dope, or that I really liked in there, was the part of when, and I think it was Sunday and Bree, of when they were kind of discussing their relationship and how it kind of, you know, unfolded, right, is that relationships have a way of meandering. They take turns, right? They have a life of their own. Yeah. But oftentimes, and I don't know if you see this probably in your practice as well, is that in those moments when those turns and you know, kind of U-turns and left and right turns of the relationship start to happen, I'm not sure that couples are having those conversations in that moment to discuss where the relationship is going.
That's good.
Right? So those are kind of key pivot points, and I think that those get missed. And by the time we recognize we should have had some conversations earlier, we're halfway to the destination. And I think that that's something that kind of came out, and you can see it in the episode.
Yeah. I don't think people talk about when their relationship shifts in certain seasons. Like when things change, they don't take the moment to check in and be like, hold on, what's really going on here?
Like, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do, right, about this? Versus like, I'm just going about my merry way. And so I think you're right. That hit the nail
on the head. There you go. There's a hammer right there.
But I think a lot of that too can really come from us not learning those things. And also, if you really want to trickle it back, that can go all the way back to like childhood, how we were raised, how our parents or, our caregivers, what we saw and did not see growing up, right? What was modeled for you, what was not modeled for you.
That part. That's important too. What you saw and what you didn't see. Equally important, 100%.
I felt we are sponges as children, right? And so things that you think your kid's not picking up on, baby, they're very intuitive and they pick up on everything, right? And so a lot of these is what we call like family of origin issues, right? Where it's just like stuff deep rooted from your childhood that never got healed and resolved and worked through. You trickling that thing all the way into your adulthood and bringing that into your relationship, into your marriage. And that's why we talk about like hashing out a lot of your, your stuff from back then. It's crucial, honestly, into having that healthy relationship. And that's when Spirit was talking about like, if one person isn't healthy, you can't have a healthy relationship, right? One person can't be healthy and the other person is unhealthy and you think you're going to have a healthy relationship, like...
Ain't gonna happen.
That don't work, bro.
Right.
It don't work that way.
It's kind of like the analogy I use is putting like molded fruit in a basket full of fresh fruit. That molded fruit.
Come on with the analogies today. You hear them dropping gems? See, this is great. This is why you're here with me, because you're freaking amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You know, on most days. But, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
Right. Well, you know.
Oh, my God.
Acquired taste.
Well, that's why you have a wonderful wife.
I do. Amazing.
Has
found a way to
tolerate sis. We'll have a conversation. Like, I don't know how you do this. Because we doing this for a few minutes and I'm like, ooh, baby, what is it gonna be over? I'm just kidding. Just
kidding. I'm sitting right here. I'm sitting right here.
But at least I said it to your face.
Touche.
This is a healthy friendship right here.
Well played. Yep.
So when we see them like break off from group, and then you see glimpses of us in this episode, right? Yes. We not too heavy in it, but you'll see me, taking them to go see Spirit. You see you introducing them to for group. Yep. But we see a little aspect of them going into individual therapy, right? So we've seen Benzino go into his individual therapy, but we also seen Teresa and Bo go into couples.
Yes.
Can we talk about the man bun? And the orange vest for just 2 seconds.
For the record, I thought it was fire.
I'm here for it, Bo. Like, I'm here for the whole man.
I wish I had hair like that so I could put my man bun on. I'd be solid right now.
Yo, they were flying the whole time. Even freaking Bree and all his
shoe game is stupid. Oh, God. Stupid. Bree's shoe game is stupid.
So, hey, anyways, I got sidetracked. But we see Bo and Teresa in their sessions. And I think they also had like a little epiphany or a breakthrough moment because what the dynamic and what I'm seeing with them is Bo keeps thinking that Teresa is Superwoman. He's even literally said that a few times already.
And she is. She's phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
She carries a lot of hats. She juggles a lot of hats. She manages the household. She got businesses. She a realtor. She do a whole lot of stuff, right? And she is Superwoman, but I think as women of color, sometimes we don't know when to take the cape off.
Right.
And lay it down. Right. And so it's okay to be like, I'm stressed. I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. I need for you to help me, babe. I can't cook dinner tonight. Can we order out? Can we get the chef? Because we know y'all got some coin. Can we get the chef to come and make us a meal? It's okay to not be okay sometimes, right? And so with that whole Superwoman syndrome or mentality, it's great to have that strength, but you also have to have enough strength to know when you need to lay it down as well. And so I think Teresa might need to know when to lay it down.
For sure,
just a little bit.
And I think it speaks to kind of what you were saying earlier about like some of the stuff that gets modeled for us in our families.
Yeah.
And that, and it's no secret that in the Black community, there's an abundance of female-headed household or single female-headed households, right?
Good point.
And so that, a lot of what is modeled is that, there are strong Black women, right? There are strong women who are kind of taking the reins and being director, right? And so Bo even mentioned in this episode that, Teresa reminds him of his grandmother and of his aunt.
Yeah.
And that those are women he admires, and that's why he did marry them, because those are women that he respects and they took care of him, right? He knew he was safe is kind of essentially what he's saying. And I think that that's important, is that we're drawn to that partly because of what he saw coming up. And so he's like, I'm trying to find someone that I'm going to be, down with for the rest of my life that has or embodies a lot of those kind of characteristics.
Yeah. And the same thing goes for Teresa, right? Like she's seen potentially her parents or her mom do that and kind of come to the rescue.
Exactly.
And I think that that's something that's picked up on consciously or subconsciously,
Yep.
And so we don't even realize it, but we tend to look for what we experienced in our childhood, kind of like in our adulthood and in our relationships. And so I think that that's played out very much with Bo and Teresa, but I also feel like Bo has this like mentality that his brothers, his homies, like they get priority over
his number one,
over the wifey,
right,
and it's like, where we do that at?
Yeah.
Like where? Like I get you made it out the hood.
Your day ones.
Your day one. They've been rocking with you, and all of those things. We get that 100%. We from Compton and Inglewood. We understand. Let's be clear.
Right.
But when you said I do,
you did say that. In
front of family, friends, and God. That shifts the dynamics of things.
It does change it. We are now in
Can you speak to that as a married man and as a
For sure, that like you are in a relationship, right? And that relationship is going to be paramount to anything else in order for you guys to move together as a unit, right? And if you aren't kind of purposing yourself or elevating that person to be kind of the number one in your life in that way, right? Then I think that there's opportunity for missteps. And I think you're speaking to the part of where there's a responsibility for Bo, that Bo feels he has with like his day ones, right?
Yeah.
But then also this responsibility or new responsibility, because they've been married, I think it said in the episode 2 years, this new responsibility of, well, now my wife is my day one and my kids, and also I've had these dudes around. How do I kind of manage that? And it's hard. And we've got it. I mean, that might have been one of the terms that we talked about earlier in the relationship that didn't really get fleshed out or discussed. And I think Spirit's kind of trying to address that stuff. And so it's yeah, definitely.
She's definitely gonna flush through that. And even Bo was like, "Man, I didn't even think of it that way."
Right. He's understanding it from a different perspective, right?
Absolutely.
And so, like, when we hear stuff from our partners, sometimes it's we could hear the same thing from someone else, and it kind of gets in,
Good
right?
point.
And so it's not that like our partner isn't telling us that or we haven't heard it before, but I think maybe hearing it from someone else validates it a little bit more at times. Right, and that doesn't mean that like we aren't listening or we don't care what our partners are saying, but it's just sometimes hearing something from someone else can just be a better, conduit or a better, person to kind of deliver the message, and you can receive it or be open to receiving it because that person isn't kind of vested in their own kind of, I guess,
they're more objective.
Interest. Yes,
they're more objective, right?
Yeah.
And even Teresa was like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well be by myself.
That did happen. She did say that. Yeah.
Oh, that's what we do.
Yeah, that got pulled out. Like, hey, like
I wasn't even ready.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
You like tell him.
I'm like, first episode of couples therapy. Yep. You already like. I know. Spirit was like, tell him.
Right.
Tell him.
But it also drew out the part of where in that segment or in that scene was where Bo. It was kind of a surprise to him that it was like, wait, this is more serious than I thought, right? And the goal is, if you're in a relationship, is to try to have that understanding before it gets to the place of where the person is wanting to leave, right? And I think that this was key for them, that Bo could figure that out. He's like, oh, wait, this is real. Like, I never even contemplated the fact that she might ever leave. Ever in life. Like, what? Like, that's foreign to me.
Leave for what?
Yeah, like, for what? And I think you said that. And it was like what are you talking about?
Like, gonna be here.
Yeah. And it's like, well, maybe not. And I think... And I know my experience has been is that couples don't usually find me early on. They kind of find me later on.
Yep.
And it'd be awesome if they could get a little bit earlier to me. So I think we could have definitely really good impact.
Absolutely. Like statistics and studies have shown that couples come to therapy 7 years too late.
Oh, yeah.
So that means 7 years ago, you should have been either on me or Stevon's couch having a full-blown conversation, right? And so I just think that there's kind of like a misunderstanding or maybe potentially taking someone for granted, right? Because thinking that they're going to be there forever is essentially taking somebody for granted. And you don't ever want anybody to feel that way about you. You know, you don't want to feel that way about someone, and you don't want someone to feel that way about their situation either.
Yeah, you want to feel appreciated.
Absolutely. Heck yeah, at all times.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then we transitioned and we got to Benzino.
Yes.
I think we seen Benzino in a different light than we saw him in the first episode. And I think we definitely got to highlight that, right? Because
my man has been vulnerable.
He has been hecka vulnerable.
Right.
Hella. Can I say hella? Hella vulnerable.
It's our show.
It is. We can do what we want.
Right.
We can do what we want to do. Hella vulnerable.
Right.
And I think that, I want to use my words carefully here.
There you go.
But I think that we don't always see men as emotionally expressive as we see women, right? It's okay for women to cry and us to boo-hoo and get emotional, but when a man does it, it's slightly different because we socialize them and we rear them up to being tough, to being, don't cry, suck it up, get up, that's for woo-woo. We literally gear them towards that. So when they get older and they get into relationships and marriages, as women, we expect our men to be vulnerable and to be open and to be expressive, but they've never been taught how to do that because society has taught them the opposite, right? So seeing Benzino get emotional and tearful, I was actually here for that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, that besides anatomy, like, what's the real difference, right, in men and women? And that we have emotions just the same. Yeah. And that he was willing to kind of open up and share his. And I think that was really important to see. Yeah. And I know you talked about kind of the masculinity piece, right, and how we're socialized to, or men are socialized, right, to kind of be a certain way. And it gets reinforced not only by other men, right, like even as kids and adolescents, you know, you don't cry, don't be a punk, right? And that, you know, sometimes it gets offered, you know, reinforced, I guess, too, by women as well, like in relationships, or that, like, you know, looking for the guy that is more aggressive. Yeah. Right? Or that is more assertive.
Bad boy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
The bad boy.
Right.
Now, give me somebody that's going to cry.
That's in touch with their feelings.
That's in touch with their emotions. Give me somebody that's going to cry. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I think a good documentary that kind of reflects that is called The Mask You Live In. And it really talks about masculinity and how it is shaped in men and some of the stuff that's being worked to undo that. Right, undo the long-term consequences of it, for sure. It's good. It's good. I recommend it.
Yeah, that's dope. I think that you can speak to that really well because you are a man. You are particularly a black man.
Yes, I am.
And so you are definitely both of those things.
Right.
And so I think you were speaking exactly to the area that we miss sometimes, right? And so... Woo, I just want to encourage anybody out there, especially men, if you feel like, I have heard from men, especially in my practice, they'll be like, I haven't cried in like 10 years. Or, you know, like
proud of it?
And just like kind of like saying that as like a badge of honor, you know, and I'm like, that's not normal. Right. That's not cool. Right. It's okay to shed a little tear. We're not saying be balled up in a, you know, like in the corner somewhere.
All day long, right, because that's some other stuff going on. That's happening,
But we're saying if it's bubbling up, it's okay to let that stuff flow, right? Like I tell my clients, tears are healing, right? It's your body's way of kind of releasing some of the things that have been pinned up. And so it's okay to let that flow. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whatever, black man, I don't care what you are, it's okay to cry. Men have emotions too. Black men have emotions.
Absolutely. We have emotions for a reason.
Woo!
You know,
I'm here
if we weren't supposed to show them, then why do we have them?
That's another gem. See, he just dropped
them.
Just boom. Check. Boom. I mean, that's all I have for today. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this thing up? We talked about a lot of juicy stuff. We talked about superwoman syndrome. We talked about, maturity.
The navigating relationships as they grow and go. Yeah.
All the gems have been dropped in here.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
This is fun. This is fun. To recap it all. I like it.
This is super dope. So always stay connected with Stevon and I. Like we mentioned, we are coming to you guys every single week after every single episode, dropping the gems, giving you guys additional comments, commentary, because as again, we were in the house, so we got a chance to see things that you have not. So definitely stay connected with us every single week. Definitely follow and watch the show. Love goes on. And yeah, let's just say where people can stay connected with us, and we outro.
Easiest way to find me is my website, www.stevonlewis.com, or on Instagram at Stevon Lewis.
Never got an O in it. STEVON.
Yeah, like Steven but O-N. Yeah, Steve on, not off.
Dope. And of course, you can find me on Instagram at Kiaundra Jackson, and that's KIAUNDRA, or check out my website, kwcouplestherapy.com. So I'm super juiced out. We're going to have a good time every single week, coming to y'all with the goodness.
Yep.
And until next time, that's it.
I like it.
Boo, he didn't want to do the whole.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Okay, bye.